What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today we got some pretty cool stuff for Deepwoken's weekly patch that I think you might enjoy. There's some new content I never thought would come out, and I was surprised myself, so without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, a callback from last week, we've received some overall improvements to the skeleton key bell and also some additional variants. The skeleton key bell looks more cleaner compared to when it was first released, and now it has even more options than just pushing players away. The normal or conventional function of the skeleton key bell is to place a barrier by pressing C while slamming them away if you press that again. In this update, we received a spiked variant that does damage to players at the cost of major knockback, meaning this could be a cool option to hurt players from a distance. In this update, we got a pretty crazy buff to a legendary bell, that being corrupted teleportation. So if you do get your hands on this very specific bell, you will gain a gate-like feature, some way to teleport to preset locations like Etris or Vigils without having to set your markers. You just have these on the map that you can teleport to. This reminds me of their old game, Rogue Lineage and Gate, because you gain access to locations that are preset. Moving forward, we actually got a partial rework of the Gale Breath's Specter Path tree. Possession, a talent that sends out a ghost on dodge, has been reworked into something much crazier. Previously, this talent was so terrible, doing minimal damage to enemies while burning through your Specter meter, and you couldn't even choose when you wanted to do it, but now it seems a little bit worth it. In this update, after hitting a Specter on your enemy, you will now gain additional posture damage on all of your Gale Breath moves for a set amount of time. Additionally, while in Phantom Step mode, you gain bonus chip damage as well as the posture for the same amount of time, and this is crazy. I think this talent will be absolutely huge for Specter Path players, making this a very dangerous attunement to fight against, and yeah, I'm excited to try this out on my own build. Next up, we've got something surprising that I never thought would come to Deepwoken, and yeah, we'll see. Heading on over to your character customization, you can now choose the body type of your character with a regular, lean, and large option. The regular body type is what we currently have in-game, unchanged in every way. The lean body type is a bit thinner, and the large is of course a bit bigger, so for character customization, this is a really big deal, and you're able to choose your body type at the character creation or barber in-game. With that being said, I know a lot of players probably won't like this feature, but remember, it's always optional and you won't be forced to use this. Another cool change that may tie into possible future content is the optimization and visual improvement of all ocean type waves. Currently in-game, the sea is way more visually, I guess, wavy, and you should notice waves at a distance in comparison to much before. This single change has improved ship performance by a lot, wasting fewer resources on like animations and stuff that we didn't need, so it should be less laggy and a whole lot more enjoyable. Something else about this change, boats now dynamically rock with waves and bob up and down to each wave, so it really does feel like you're on a boat. With that being said, if boats and sea content is finally being improved, maybe that means we'll get more content coming from the sea, like bosses, monsters, even events. Alongside this, there's yet another great quality of life update specifically for new players and navigation inside of Deepwoken. So by pressing M, you can bring up a map that shows islands inside your specific luminance, one for Etrian and one for Eastern. As you explore the Deepwoken world, each segment of the map will slowly uncover, revealing the entire picture. I think it's a really cool addition that I'm a fan of, and this should help newer players understand the map. Now, if we're talking about actual maps, we have a new addition to the Chime Rotation PvP Arena maps. This new Chime Arena is the Widow's Whale Cemetery, a snapshot from the annual Deepwoken Hollowtide event. Originally, this map was for Halloween events, but now you can experience this once again throughout the year by entering Chime of Conflict. I'm a fan of this option, and it is nice to see once again. Up next, with another insane visual update, we have something that all the competitive players will probably like. Have you ever fought against a player with a giant hat and you just could not see their weapon the entire fight? Well, luckily there's a fix. In-game, there's a new toggle setting that disables enemy equipment, fully turning off all vanity for others while keeping your drip visible. Although it's only a temporary fix to a bigger issue, it's still a nice option to see. Moving on to balancing, we we actually have a lot to take a look at which changes Deepwoken combat at a fundamental level, so I'll focus on some general changes before getting specific. Tempo has been reworked to incentivize up-close gameplay in comparison to spamming from range. So in this update, you no longer get tempo back from hitting enemies at long range, you only get tempo up close. This change applies to M1s, critical attacks, mantras, or basically anything else, and additionally, your enemies will still get tempo if you hit them from far away. So make sure you're closing the distance if you want to have tempo in your fights. Additionally, Elemental Rebound, a talent that rewards tempo on elemental mantras hit, has become base kit for everyone, but the tempo gain from landing these mantras has been reduced slightly. Moving forward, we also have a bunch of changes to M1 combat that you'll probably want to look out for. So first off, the M1 feinting end lag was much lower than intended, and now it should be greater the higher your swing speed, so keep an eye out for that. This update was mostly unchanged on low swing speed weapons like heavies, so yeah, it won't be so bad. Another touch up on M1s, after hitting somebody with your weapon, this will no longer reset the feint cooldown entirely, but it will reduce its cooldown if you hit somebody. Basically, after feinting, if you hit somebody with an M1, that will reduce your feint cooldown by 1 second. Next up, dodge cancelling has been nerfed by a small amount, increasing the cooldown on your second roll if you cancel the first one. So again, this is not too crazy, but it should make Tap Dancer a little bit more useful on builds instead of something that is just terrible. One weapon change that I wanted to highlight was yet another hit to the Shatter Katana critical. The new critical of the Shatter Katana was used quite a bit, and the multi-slash capability was powerful and eventually nerfed over the weeks to come. In this update, the Shatter Katana critical windup has been increased, and now the user has been slowed down until the second slash ends, meaning they cannot run around at full speed, I guess, when the crit is still happening. This might be a huge nerf to this type of playstyle, but I guess we'll see what happens after this change. Another interesting change that I'm happy to see is the increased travel speed buff to the arc beam projectile. I think it's safe to say that the Arcwarder Oath is in a weird spot, and I think it's pretty solid, but players seem to pick this option for the suit and arc wave alone, and they kinda ignore the arc beam. After this update, arc beam should be a faster option to knock players down, and it's definitely appreciated for all those Arcwarder players. One of the most insane changes that happened in today's update was the voted upon and well-deserved removal of projectile bullets, well, most of them. So, for dual guns and rifles, there is no longer an option to shoot bullets from range. This may seem like overkill to most of you, but it's so easy to spam bullets from across the map that they just remove them. It's worth saying that these have been removed from dual guns and rifles, but still, one-handed guns keep this attribute due to the reload feature, so I'm honestly pretty surprised this even happened, but it is a big step for Deepwoken combat. That's all for right now, but as always, make sure to check out Battle Royale as the wait for conquest continues. Even without a team, you can still have fun with this type of game mode. And that's it. Thanks so much, and if you enjoy exclusive update content just like this, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm so close to hitting 80k subs, and let's get there. Anyway, thanks again, it's punchin' time.